Canada to open borders to fully vaccinated travelers. International flights carrying passengers will be permitted to land at 5 additional Canadian airports. Government intends to open Canada's borders to any fully vaccinated travelers who have completed the full course of vaccination with a Government of Canada accepted vaccine at least 14 days prior to entering Canada. All travelers must use a RRIVCAN app or web portal to submit their travel information. All travelers, regardless of vaccination status, will still require a pre-entry COVID-19 molecular test result. The Government of Canada is prioritizing the health and safety of everyone in Canada by taking a risk-based and measured approach to reopening our borders. Thanks to the hard work of Canadians, rising vaccination rates and declining COVID-19 cases, the Government of Canada is able to move forward with adjusted border measures. On September 7, 2021, provided that the domestic epidemiologic situation remains favorable, the government intends to open Canada's borders to any fully vaccinated travelers who have completed the full course of vaccination with a Government of Canada accepted vaccine at least 14 days prior to entering Canada and who meet specific entry requirements. As a first step, starting August 9, 2021, Canada plans to begin allowing entry to American citizens on permanent residence who are currently residing in the United States and have been fully vaccinated at least 14 days prior to entering Canada for non-essential travel. This preliminary step allows for the Government of Canada to fully operationalize the adjusted border measures ahead of September 7, 2021, and recognizes the many close ties between Canadians and Americans. Subject to limited exceptions, all travelers must use a RRIVCAN app or web portal to submit their travel information. If they are eligible to enter Canada and meet specific criteria, fully vaccinated travelers will not have to quarantine upon arrival in Canada. To further support these new measures, Transport Canada is expanding the scope of the existing notice to AIRMEN, NOTAM, that currently directs scheduled international commercial passenger flights into 4 Canadian airports: Montreal Trudeau International Airport, Toronto Pearson International Airport, Calgary International Airport, and Vancouver International Airport. Effective August 9, 2021, international flights carrying passengers will be permitted to land at the following 5 additional Canadian airports: Halifax Stanfield International Airport, Quebec City Jean Lesage International Airport, Ottawa Macdonald Cartier International Airport, Winnipeg James Armstrong Richardson International Airport, and Edmonton International Airport. These airports, in cooperation with the Public Health Agency of Canada, the Canada Border Services Agency and Transport Canada, are working to implement the measures necessary to safely welcome international passengers as soon as possible after August 9, as conditions dictate. All travelers, regardless of vaccination status, will still require a pre-entry COVID-19 molecular test result. However, effective August 9, 2021, the Government of Canada is adjusting its post-arrival testing strategy for fully vaccinated travelers. Using a new border testing surveillance program at airports and land border crossings, fully vaccinated travelers will not need a post-arrival test unless they have been randomly selected to complete a Day 1 COVID-19 molecular test. There are no changes to the mandatory testing requirements for unvaccinated travelers. This strategy allows the Government of Canada to continue monitoring variants of concern in Canada and vaccine effectiveness. Using these layers of protection, the Government of Canada can monitor the COVID-19 situation in Canada, respond quickly to threats, and guide decisions on restricting international travel. Finally, with the advent of increased vaccination rates in Canada, declining COVID-19 cases and reduced pressure on healthcare capacity, the 3-night government-authorized hotel stay requirement will be eliminated for all travelers arriving by air as of 12:01 a.m. EDT on August 9. Fully vaccinated travelers who meet the requirements will be exempt from quarantine. However, all travelers must still provide a quarantine plan and be prepared to quarantine in case it is determined at the border that they do not meet the necessary requirements. While Canada continues to trend in the right direction, the epidemiological situation and vaccination coverage is not the same around the world. The Government of Canada continues to advise Canadians to avoid non-essential travel outside of Canada. International travel increases your risk of exposure to COVID-19 and its variants, as well as of spreading it to others. Border measures also remain subject to change as the epidemiological situation evolves. As Canada looks to welcome fully vaccinated travelers from the US, the federal government will continue to monitor the situation and provide updated travel advice to Canadians. Canadians' safety and security always come first. With rising vaccination rates and fewer cases in Canada, we can begin to safely ease border measures. A gradual approach to reopening will allow our health authorities to monitor the COVID-19 situation here and abroad. Canadians have worked hard and sacrificed for each other, and because of that work, we can take these next steps safely. The Honourable Patty Hajdu, Minister of Health. The health and safety of Canadians remains our top priority. Using a risk-based and measured approach to easing border measures will allow for non-essential international travelers who meet vaccination and other requirements to enter Canada. Working collaboratively with provinces, territories, Indigenous partners, and others to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated and follow public health advice is enabling us to begin welcoming more travelers back to Canada. Our government will continue to work with Canadian and international partners to ensure the border reopening is done in a safe and responsible way. The Honourable Dominic LeBlanc, President of the Queen's Privy Council for Canada and Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. The Government of Canada recognizes that people have been anxiously awaiting a reopening of the border to the world. We have been fully engaged with our American counterparts given the deep economic and family ties between our two countries. Today's announcement is another big step in our approach to easing border measures, which is guided by facts, scientific evidence and the advice of our public health experts. The Honourable Bill Blair, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness. Thanks to the extraordinary commitment of Canadians to getting vaccinated and following public health advice, we are seeing improvement in the public health situation in Canada. As a result, today we announced new steps in our reopening approach, including that international flights carrying passengers will be allowed to land at 5 more Canadian airports. The Honourable Omar Al-Gabra, Minister of Transport Canada. Thanks to the incredible progress that Canadians have made in our fight against the pandemic, we are now able to take the next step in Canada's gradual reopening of the border. We look forward to welcoming fully vaccinated Americans shortly, followed by travelers from the rest of the world in early September. Not only will this make a big difference for Canada's travel and tourism industry and all those whose jobs depend on it, it will also make it easier for those with a confirmation of permanent residence letter to come to Canada and play a role in our recovery from the pandemic. The Honourable Marco Mendicino, Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. The easing of Canada's border measures is welcome news for tourism businesses across the country, the thousands of Canadians employed by the sector, and the communities who rely on it. It has been a challenging year as we've balanced the need to protect both the health of Canadians and our economy, but tourism businesses have demonstrated incredible resilience. Our government has been proud to be by their side since the beginning of this crisis, and we will continue to be there as they prepare to begin to welcome vaccinated travelers from around the world to our beautiful shores. The Honourable Melanie Joly, Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages. Quick facts. To be eligible to enter Canada for discretionary travel on the basis of vaccination status, travelers must use the Arrivacant app or web portal. Travelers must ensure that mandatory requirements are met prior to departing for Canada. In addition, some provinces and territories may have their own entry restrictions in place. Check and follow both the federal and any provincial or territorial restrictions and requirements before traveling. In addition to receiving a full series of a vaccine authorized by the Government of Canada, fully vaccinated travelers must also provide COVID-19 related information electronically through a Arrivacant app or web portal, including proof of vaccination prior to arrival in Canada, meet the pre-entry testing requirements, be asymptomatic upon arrival, and have a paper or digital copy of their vaccination documentation in English or French or certified translation, ready to show a government official on request as evidence. A person who submits false information on vaccination status could be liable to a fine of up to $750,000 or 6 months imprisonment or both, under the Quarantine Act, or prosecution under the Criminal Code for forgery. Violating any quarantine or isolation instructions provided to travelers by a screening officer or quarantine officer when entering Canada is also an offence under the Quarantine Act and could lead to a $5,000 fine for each day of non-compliance, or for each offence committed, or more serious penalties, including 6 months in prison and/or $750,000 in fines. Non-compliant air travelers may also be subject to fines of up to $5,000 for each offence committed under the Aeronautics Act. Based on public health advice, Transport Canada has extended the notice to AIRMEN NADAM that restricts all direct commercial and private passenger flights to Canada from India for an additional 30 days, i.e. until August 21, 2021, at 23:59 EDT. All direct commercial and private passenger flights to Canada from India are subject to the NADAM. Cargo-only operations, medical transfers or military flights are not included. Transport Canada has also extended the requirement related to third country pre-departure COVID-19 tests for travelers to Canada from India via an indirect route. This means that passengers who depart India to Canada via an indirect route will continue to be required to obtain a COVID-19 pre-departure test from a third country other than India before continuing their journey to Canada.